kind of a funny setup that they've got. So right next to the border, which is kind of through the trees and stuff right here, is where the commercial vehicles kind of come straight in. You can walk in, and then the personal vehicles, if you're just driving in, you'll swing through there. But right behind me is this monster Walmart that folks come over to be able to shop at and buy all the stuff for cheap that they can get in the US versus being in Mexico. This place has a monster parking lot, and then there's another set of department stores, including JCPenney and Harbor Freight Tools, on the other side with just as big of a parking lot for folks who want to just do the walk across. So they'll park here, walk over to Agua Prieta, do whatever they need to do, and then walk back across. So I'm actually going to do the same thing because I'm hungry and there's good tacos on that side. So and it's a 24-hour border. So I'm going to do a real quick setup with the drone here. And let's get that in the air just so we can see what this looks like. So get her taked off.
Takeoff.
All right.
Home point updated.
And up we go. So this is orienting towards the border crossing. You can see the hangar-looking buildings right there. I'm not going to get super high, maybe 250 feet or so. There we go. So that's Agua Prieta. Across the way, I'll do a quick pan. You can see the border wall stretching across right there. A couple of pickups. Customs and Border Protection. And the countryside. Better watered in here. There were quite a bit of fields on the drive in. I don't have that much more daylight though, so I want to be a little bit careful that I'm not deep in the bowels of Agua Prieta when the sun goes down. So pop over, grab something to eat, and then come on back. I've got the global entry, which includes Swift. Oh, look at that. There's the lined up cars making the turn to go into the border crossing there. And then right on the other side of the wall, I believe there's a boulevard that everybody lines up to drive on back. But when I've popped over on foot, there's actually a really good taco shop about 3 blocks just south of the border entry. So I'm going to pop in there and take you guys along. Okay, and that is that. We'll bring her back down. Small town America. Small town Mexico. Lots of shopping. So right here at the edge of the parking lot, you get a bunch of carts that people have taken this far to grab their stuff that they're bringing into Mexico. More carts. Obviously, Walmart knows what's going on, giving them extra spaces to be able to park their carts, and then probably come through and snag them every once in a while. so this is Douglas Port of Entry. Interestingly, the U.S. posted up where folks are going into Mexico. It's not super normal. Oh, they're looking for people, specific people. Okay, that makes more sense. See the wall. So coming through the border on the Mexican side, obviously you can't film it. So just to give you an idea of what happens, usually nothing. Usually you just walk past whatever border security guard that they've got sitting there, and you wave and say hi, and they say hi, and they say pass. Sometimes they'll have a scanning machine at some of the bigger ports of entry, and you throw your bag in there, and really what they're looking for is you bringing guns, which are largely illegal for regular folks to have in Mexico. They're not concerned about you bringing drugs in, of course. I mean, maybe officially, but not, otherwise. So, okay. Here's the U.S. side of the wall. And then...
Oh, they don't record after you cross the border.
Yes, indeed. Giving me the heads up. Turn this off before you get across the border. So, yes, of course. So sometimes you throw them in to a scanning machine if that's there. Sometimes they'll have folks who do just light bag searches. Mostly they want to see what's in your main compartment, and you show them, for me it's usually camera gear, and they're like, okay, great, cool, off you go. So, Walmart cards. All the way here at the border. Okay, so I am about to cross, so I am going to turn this off and head down the corridor and see about some tacos. Okay, through the border crossing. Huzzah! That was a light bag check. She wanted to see in the main compartment of the bag, and got to make a couple of jokes about it just being cameras and batteries and whatnot. So you'll see behind me a common feature of folks just waiting for oftentimes kids, especially kids involved in sports programs. So they may live all or part-time in Mexico, but be involved in school activities, going to school, intramural sports, whatever, over on the U.S. side. And so kids will cross, they'll get visa or whatever to be able to cross, do their thing, and then they swing through, and families waiting there to pick them up, and off they go. Okay, we gotta find this taco place, 'cause it's fantastico. Agua Prieta's got definitely a small town feel. Does feel kind of cool. They got the normal amount of medical dental clustered right here at the start of the border. And I'm being a little bit careful not to film the Mexican border crossing because they get pretty anxious. On some level, you get used to doing the kind of jaywalking thing. A lot of stop signs are just suggestive rather than real. But people are pretty good about letting you get across the street, assuming that you're not like really jaywalking out into major traffic. But even still, I think you could probably get away with a fair amount. Okay, so after the election, because Morena, the former ruling party who had both houses of legislature and presidency and 21 of the Mexican governorships, they cleaned up on June 2nd. And they gained a supermajority in both houses of the legislature. And what happened with that was you saw the peso tumble against the dollar. Tumble, relative terms. So now you can get 16.6 pesos per dollar at this point, when last time I was in Mexico it was 16.2. Now the peso has been strengthening against the dollar by, I think it was 17 or 18% over the last 4 years. So this is a bit of a setback in terms of valuation for peso, but people are worried about Morena having as much power governmentally as they do, because they have the ability to now, and outgoing President Obrador has threatened to change the Constitution in order to potentially make it more difficult for the other political parties to function. People are scared of what had been the case in Mexico for some 70 or 80 years, where one of the political parties, PRI, came into power in the late 20s, like 1929, 28 or 29 if I remember correctly, and basically a pre-candidate was in power all the way up through 2000 and Vicente Fox. Just this crazy amount of time, and there was just so much corruption in this political party because they controlled government, and initially they were super popular right at the very beginning, but then they became very very corrupt and essentially made sure that they would never lose their electoral dominance. And now international markets are scared that Morena, now that they're gaining the type of dominance that PRI used to have, that Morena is now in a position to, and AMLO seems to be making noises that this is something he's interested in doing, largely boxing out the other political parties and making sure that Morena consolidates and maintains power for the foreseeable future. So we'll see what new incoming president Claudia Sheinbaum does with all of this. Yeah, I guess it'll be interesting. But I am here at the really good taco shop that I found last time I was here a couple of months ago. They have a fantastic tacos al pastor con piña, or pork tacos with pineapple. So I'm gonna hop in and order up, and let's see what we can do. Oh, this looks so good. Just a look at the menu. Oof. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna do the tacos al pastor. You can get 5 tacos for 100 pesos. So 20 pesos a taco is what, $1.10, $1.15? Not bad, especially because these are fantastic tacos. So, okay, I think that I'm going to snag. Everything on here looks amazing. I also didn't really eat anything today, so the two I'm sure go together. All right. Okay, hola. ¿Puedo pedir dos tacos de pastor?
Sí.
¿Con piña?
Sí.
Ok, bueno, ok. Y un taco de asada y... ¿Qué es esto? ¿Una torta?
¿Este?
Sí.
Es una sincronizada, solamente lleva jamón y queso.
Oh, yeah. Bueno. Sí,
Una
por favor.
sincronizada.
Sí.
Ok. ¿Los tacos van a ser en tortilla de maíz o de harina?
Harina, por
Harina.
favor. Sí.
¿Les pongo cebolla y cilantro?
Sí.
¿Piña
Mucho.
los de pastor?
Sí.
Ok.
Okay.
Claro.
Y ¿Qué tienes para tomar?
Tomar tengo Coca, Fanta, Sprite, fresca, Fanta de fresa, agua de horchata, Jamaica y piña.
Horchata, por favor.
Un horchata.
Sí?
Ok,
Okay.
claro.
Gracias.
Sí.
I hope there's not a massive line at the border because, I'm not going to regret coming here. There's the things that can happen, and then there's the things that just aren't going to happen. And there's going to be no regret coming here. We're going to do a quick tour, actually. So, if people want to know what this is, it's Taqueria El Taco Quito. And so you can see here they've got the beef, or sorry, the pork, where they cut the strips off of in order to then cook up. And see? Oh, this one. Abierto. Okay. Bueno. Tengo mucho hambre. Get them all cooked up. So I got the tacos with the wheat tortillas, not the corn. So yeah, there's the pastor, and then the asada right there. And we've got our kind of extras, piña and cilantro. Oh. Bueno. Gracias. Okay, and then the fixings. So, usually going to get something like cucumbers, and then we've got fresh limes to be able to squeeze on it. You'll get a couple of different hot sauces, one more spicy than the other. The spicy one is almost always a deeper shade of red. So I have a green and a red that is almost definitely going to be my hot one. And then the green is going to be a relatively mild to medium. All right. Food should be here half a sec. And I am quite hungry. There's a lot of driving today. Oh my. Yep. But cheap too. Okay, so here's the next thing, is the prices in Mexico have a lot to do with what state the Mexican town borders. So if I'm in Baja California, which is underneath California, everything's going to be gracias. Okay. Everything's going to be way more expensive in Baja California because it's right next to California. So, on some level, everybody charges more, can charge more. Get a lot of Californians that come down. I would imagine wages are higher in Baja. But as you get across over, once you're in Sonora, gracias. Ooh. Horchata. Homemade. Not homemade. Nope, just regular bottle. Okay. Once you get over into Sonora, which is south of Arizona, man, it's just a noticeable drop in the amount of money that you're spending on everything from gas to tacos to night stays at hotels, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the difference is probably on the order of, I would guess, 20 to 40%, maybe more. I was struggling to find a taco for less than maybe $230-ish, $240-ish when I was in Baja California. And I mean, gosh, these are amazing looking. These, $1.15. Like you can't go wrong with that. So, I have the last kind of jamon torta coming, but until then, let's get some lime on the tacos. Bueno, gracias.
¿Le debo algo más?
No, esto es bueno. Gracias. Okay. And then, look at this. A quesadilla with ham. Feels like home. I make these all the time. Not necessarily with ham, but with anchovies. And they're fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to try, just because it's overlapping the others. Oh, I got to get some hot sauce on here. Okay, this is the red. Okay. So, carne asada taco. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're so simple, yet so good. Oh. And I'm so hungry. And they put on plenty of cilantro and onion. Good. The red is spicy. Okay. We're gonna do one of these al pastors with some green. Oh man. Look at that. Look at that. Amazing. Here we go. Oh, and they didn't skimp on the fillings either. Even better than the asada. Oh, so good. This is what you want to have at the end of a long day of driving. Especially if you're facing the prospect of spending the night in your car. Everybody's so curious. So horchata is usually it's a rice-based drink. Sweet, usually has cinnamon, but it's pretty good for cooling down the heat. If you with the red, load up on some hot sauce. It's good. Sometimes you get the homemade stuff, and that's just fantastic. Okay. And we're going to stick with green on this. I'm going to get blasted. Montezuma's Revenge. Okay. Buen provecho. Windshield washer plying his trade. Oh, and it looks like there might be maybe a migrant family over there. Let's go say hi. So he had his family with him. Obviously was uncomfortable being on camera. When I told him I was a journalist, the mom kind of gathered up the kids and whisked them off, but I said, no, I'm not here. I don't need to do an interview with you. But did get to talk to him for a half sec. And so he's from here in Mexico, in the central state of Durango. So Durango and Zacatecas are experiencing a lot of violence right now. They're kind of the crossroads for a lot of the drugs that are getting manufactured in places like Jalisco and Sinaloa and being shipped up, and the various cartel factions, CJNG, Sinaloa, and smaller interests are all fighting it out right now in the middle of Mexico, and it's crazy. I mean, there's lots of bodies that are getting found in pickups and bags of heads and stuff like that. So I'm imagining he's leaving there to want to come up here, get into the US and get away from the violence. So he said he's got friends in Las Vegas, and his plan is basically to come and apply for asylum with the family and get through his credible fear interview and then get on the schedule for getting an asylum hearing, and then obviously hoping for permanent asylum. So I wish him the best, and interesting that we're starting to see some folks here, and he's doing this right. He's turning himself in at an official port of entry. But it's interesting that we're seeing Central Mexico residents coming up now with these credible fear claims. So, okay, headed through the border. That was hilarious. So I was talking to the border security guard who was checking me in, and just, I tell him I'm a journalist, and I said I'm covering for my YouTube channel between the Gulf of Mexico and Pacific, and I said, you're gonna pull up a lot of border crossings, when you run me. And he goes, oh yeah, you got a hell of a lot of border crossings. Which is great. So, okay. So headed through, and I'm deliberately not filming kind of the US side there, where they do all their vehicle inspections and pull people over for the cavity search. But this is pretty much as soon as you cross over onto the Douglas side. So this is where a lot of folks are going to park here if they don't park at the Walmart. So I'm going to get across here, head back to the car, and I'm about to lose my daylight, so there's probably not that much more I'm going to be able to do of any major import. So until I catch y'all next, thanks for rolling with me today.